My name is Alexa and I live in Saito. I am 25 years old and I work at one of the biggest hospitals in the city. On most days, I love my job. The long hours, the responsibility of saving lives, it gives me purpose. But today, the moment I picked up the patient file in my hands, my world tilted. Silvia Botman. The name stared back at me like a ghost from my past. My hands trembled as my breath hitched. A sharp pang hit my chest. I knew that name too well. I had spent countless nights crying over it. Silvia, the woman my husband left me for. I swallowed hard, gripping the file so tightly that my knuckles turned white. My heart pounded like a drum, memories rushing back like a flood. I thought I had moved on. I told myself I had buried everything, left the past behind when I moved to Saito. But now, standing here, I realized the truth. I had only run away. I had never truly healed. And now, fate had decided to throw me into the same room as her. Would she even recognize me? Did she know I worked here? A lump formed in my throat. This wasn't just any surgery. This was her C-section. The child she was about to bring into the world belonged to the man I once loved. I stood frozen, staring at the file, the past clawing its way back into my chest. Alexa. A familiar voice snapped me back to reality. I blinked and looked up, my breath catching as I saw Dr. Collins. He was watching me, his brown eyes filled with concern. His dark, wavy hair was slightly messy from a long shift, and his dimples peeked out as he gave me a small, reassuring smile. Collins had been my colleague for months, but only recently had he become something more. My boyfriend. Though boyfriend still felt like a foreign word to me. I hesitated before forcing a nod. Igreja, I'm fine. He didn't look convinced. Are you sure? You look like you've seen a ghost. If only he knew. Collins and I had only been dating for a few weeks. He didn't know much about my past, and I wasn't ready to tell him. 3 months ago, when I first joined this hospital, he had asked me out multiple times. But I had turned him down every single time, terrified of falling for someone again. Because love had destroyed me once. Elijah had broken me. For 3 years, I had been his wife, believing in the vows we exchanged. And then one day he told me he wanted a child. When I didn't conceive, he grew distant, cold. Then one night I found out the truth. He had been having an affair with Silvia. He didn't leave because I was barren. He left because he was selfish. Collins smiled at me, bringing me back to the present. I'll see you at lunch, he said, winking before walking away. I tried to smile back, but inside my heart was racing. I couldn't do this surgery. The idea of standing in that operating room, Watching her bring Elijah's child into the world made me sick to my stomach. Without thinking, I rushed after Collins. Wait, my voice came out shaky. He turned around, his brows furrowed in concern. I'm not feeling well, I lied, trying to steady my voice. Can you take over the surgery for me? His expression softened. Of course. Go rest. I'll handle it. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. I quickly changed into my casual clothes, ready to escape before I saw something that would break me even more. But as I stepped into the hallway, my entire body froze. There he was, Elijah. My breath hitched. He stood just a few feet away, pushing Silvia in a wheelchair. Silvia's belly was swollen, her hands resting gently over it. Her face glowed as she giggled at something Elijah said. She held on to his arm, gripping it like he was her whole world. That used to be me. A sharp pain stabbed my chest as I watched him tuck a strand of her hair behind her ear. Tears burned in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. He had never once smiled at me like that when we were married. Not once. I quickly turned away, hiding behind the corner until they disappeared into the operating room. I ran home that night, locking myself inside my apartment. The floodgates burst open. I sobbed. I had convinced myself that I had healed, that I was okay. But seeing them together made me realize I had only buried my pain. Days passed. I didn't go back to work. I ignored Colin's calls. I just wanted to disappear. Then, on the fourth evening, a knock came at my door. I frowned. No one ever visited me. Not even Collins, even though he had my address. I hesitated before opening it. My stomach dropped. Elijah, I gasped. He leaned against the doorway, a smirk on his face. Surprised. I clenched my fists. What are you doing here? I waited for you at the hospital, he said smoothly. I thought you'd come congratulate me. Silvia and I just had a baby boy. My heart shattered, but I kept my face blank. He was here to hurt me. He wanted to see me break. I forced a smile. Congratulations. He frowned, clearly not expecting that reaction. If that's all, I'd like to rest now. I started closing the door, but he grabbed my wrist. Why are you pretending to be happy for us? His voice turned sharp. You always acted so high and mighty because you're a doctor. But look at you now, alone and miserable. You couldn't even give me a child. His words sliced through me like a knife. For years, I had believed his insults. That I wasn't good enough. That I wasn't worthy of love. But before I could speak, another voice cut through the night. Let her go. Collins. He marched up the steps, his jaw tight. His fists clenched. Elijah smirked. And who are you? Her bodyguard. Collins didn't even blink. No, I'm her fiancé. My heart skipped a beat. Fiancé. Collins grabbed my hand, lacing our fingers together. A warmth spread through me. For the first time in years, someone stood up for me. Elijah scoffed. Did she tell you she's barren? I divorced her so I wouldn't waste my time. A heavy silence followed. My stomach twisted. Collins didn't know about my past. Would he leave me now? But then Collins chuckled. Elijah, he said, are you sure it's not you who's barren? Elijah's smirk faltered. Collins stepped closer. I was the surgeon who operated on Silvia. When your son needed blood, your type didn't match. You're not his father. Elijah's face turned pale. For the first time, he was speechless. He stumbled back before storming away, his footsteps heavy with anger. I exhaled, my hands trembling. Collins squeezed my fingers gently. Are you okay? He asked softly. I looked into his warm, patient eyes, and for the first time in years, I felt safe. I wasn't healed yet, but maybe, just maybe, I was ready to try again. If you like this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Let me know in the comments what you learned. See you in the next video. Bye.